so let's get back into Norway. So in previous video I've talked about how Norway was pointing to 11 o'clock, whereas that is reflecting 7-11. But they're actually more than just the timing of that. As we go into the facts about Norway, the two things that interested me the most would be the northern lights and the midnight sun that Norway has. And let's get on to the northern light first. And the northern lights is actually something like that, and they're like different kinds of colors that display in the sky, and that's in another word, it's also called aurora borealis. And this reminded me of Matthew 16 cosmic events, because how it's also some kind of like cosmic rays that display in the sky. And it's actually a common natural phenomenon in Norway, and how this country is the home of the Northern Lights. There must be a reason why the eclipse was pointing to Norway during the time of March 20th. And as I've explained before, the eclipses relate to Matthew 27 verse 45, where that would be a 3 days period. And so this is actually reflecting that the cosmic events of the red skies of Matthew 16 will last for 3 days, because the eclipse of March 20th that shown to Norway is actually related to the darkness that was described in Matthew 27:45. And let's get back onto the midnight sun. And I see over here, and this is actually a midnight sun in Norway. And here it says around 2 a.m. So this scene was captured around the like after midnight. So that's supposedly would be like dark during the night, but very interesting how Norway got the midnight sun where they still see the lights and the sunlight during the sleeping time, and in other words, after midnight, very early in the morning, which is supposed to be still dark outside. And there is a reason why that the eclipse was shown to Norway, where Norway is a place with the midnight sun. And one thing I want to talk about is over here. So here it says how, so if the sun is in the ninth segment, it's probably between 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. So in here if we see the ninth segment over here, and if that's between 2:30 to 3:30, then we could tell how the 10th segment as the sun moves would be probably like 3:30 to 4:30 or something like that. So it just proves how as the sun moves you can tell what time it is without seeing a watch. And so because of that, time is could be determined by the movement of the sun. So if the sun actually like does not set, so if the sun still like stops like still shining like over the whole day, and that remind me of the stopping of time, because if you stop at the same segment for like perhaps a whole day, then how could you tell like then that would just pauses on the same hour as they like that. So the midnight sun of Norway remind me of the stopping of time. So this is actually confirmation to what I explained about the 7 days of training, like in a possible way within the 3 days of worldwide darkness for the bride. And so because how 7 days is more than 3 days, so there's a reason why time would be stopped. And so that's actually confirming the stopping time during the 3 days of worldwide darkness, because this is related to Norway, where the eclipse was shown to Norway, and that's the darkness again. And because how that's actually reflecting the 3 days of darkness. Yeah, so that's actually reflecting the 3 days of darkness, even though it's like on verse 45, but you know, like the Psalm 23 verse 4 is read till verse 45, as I explained before, because of the February 20th, March 20th, April 20th events. And so that's spelled out Psalm 23 verse 4, and Matthew 27 verse 45. 3 days of partial darkness not only relate to the Psalm 23 verse 4, because this song is also related to the 3 days of worldwide darkness of Matthew chapter 27 verse 60. That's the 3 days of burial of Jesus. And another very interesting thing when I went into the facts about Norway, so back to the midnight sun, it says how the sun does not set in summer. So that's actually pointing the midnight sun during the summertime. And let's go into the clock over here. And as I explained before, even though we're now way past East and coming to September, since the relationship between June on the east and another June on the south, therefore the summer quadrant over here will restart over the fall quadrant over here, which means would be the time between September to December of this year will replace the summertime. So that is saying that during our coming fall quadrant from 6 to 9, which means from month 6 to month 9 of the Jewish calendar would be related to the midnight sun of Norway, because this is actually replaying back the east over here, and therefore while it will be fall, it will also be a summertime. So therefore, from our September to December period of time, it will a harvest time about the 6 days of darkness because of the midnight sun pattern of the March 20th eclipse. Okay, so let's get on to Australia because of April 20th relationship with March 20th. And Australia is very interesting because it's a country that is completely surrounded by waters. And this is reminding me about the flood, because the flood in the days of Noah was related to rain, and the severe storm that hit Sydney on April the 20th was a very significant pattern, because as we look over to Sydney, where it is in New South Wales, here it says how 1.5 million of which were born overseas, representing many different nationalities, making Sydney one of the most multicultural cities in the world. And this is actually representing the whole world because of this Sydney thing, because how this is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. So there are many different types of people who lived in New South Wales, which is actually representing the whole world. The severe storm that was hit upon New South Wales region on April 20th this year, there was a period of 3 days without power. During that time, this might not only relate to the 3 days of partial darkness, because how Sydney is, how New South Wales is part of Australia, so that's representing a partial darkness because of the 3 days without power pattern representing the 3 days of partial darkness. But I was thinking this might also represent the 3 days of worldwide darkness. Like Sydney represents the whole world, and this would not be a partial display anymore. And stay hinting stay confirming about the 3 days of worldwide darkness as well, that is in a relationship with the 3 days of partial darkness. Interestingly, when we add the numbers together of the 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock, it comes up as 44, and this is the number of judgment in relation to the 6 days of darkness. The meaning of storm is also whirlwind, and whirlwind, as we look over to Acts chapter 2 verse 2, And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and that reminded me of the whirlwind that could represent the Pentecost, because how the mighty wind here is representing the Holy Spirit. This is just confirming the 6 days of darkness will be related to the Pentecostal period. 3 days actually equals to 4,320 minutes. This is very amazing because when reading in the Hebrews way, it would be 234 again. That's echoing back to Psalm 23 verse 4. Here in Matthew chapter 12 verse 40 is actually a prophecy about the 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, whereas the world will have the 3 days of worldwide darkness. As here it says, for his journeys were 3 days and 3 nights in the world's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. And that's the sign of Jonah that will be coming very soon in relation to the 6 days of darkness, where the Son of Man, the Son of God, will be visiting upon every person upon the earth and offer them salvation. 6 days of darkness also reminds me of the 6-day war. And it's very interesting when I was reading about how on June 6 and 7, and here we see the June 6 and 7 again. That's actually the Pentecostal, like representing the Pentecostal period because of Sivan 6 and 7, that how Sivan runs true to both May and June. And Sivan 6 and 7 could be Enoch's birthday because that's the Pentecostal period. Here it says Israelite forces rushed westward in pursuit of the Egyptians, whose retreat was disorganized and chaotic. And when it comes to war, it remind me of bloodshed, remind me of judgment. Even though Israel had victory over this war, but this is as though suggesting there could be some kind of judgments upon Israel during the time of the Pentecostal period, as representing by June 6 through 7. And the word westward is very interesting because, as I said before, light is representing by the east direction, and therefore west would be the darkness. This is a start hinting about the darkness events as well. And also back in the February 20th, March 20th, and April 20th, when you add all of them together is 60. And this number is very interesting because the Masonic symbol use how it relates to 60 degrees. Back in the clock here, since 12 here is in relation to with the 12 over here, so if we look this direction as 0 degrees, so the 60 degrees would be from 9 and lands on to 11. So from 9 to 11 would be 60 degrees, and that's again echoing back to 9/11 attack. And so that the February 20th, March 20th, April 20th is actually relate to 9/11. And another confirmation is that 9 plus 11 is 20. So that's actually echoing back to the 3 per shipwrecks, because the number 20 occurred 3 times over the 3 months period. Also, the Freemason logo, they have the letter J. There's a meaning to the letter J. When we look over to the chart, here again, the letter G, while 7 is also the number 20, and that's again confirming that the 3 per shipwrecks will be related to the Illuminati, which is in relation to California because of their entertainment industry. Let's get back into the 4 merged calendars. Later I'll explain the significance of June the 23rd again. But Thomas 6 and Thomas 8 were both landed on this date, and it's very, very important to take notice of that. So here again you see the 9/11 again when you see 6 and 8 o'clock, because while it's Jewish month 6, it will be Gregorian September, and while it is Jewish month 8, it will be our Gregorian November. So that's 9/11 again. Like the Pentecostal pattern is favoring between the period of our September to November period this year because of the June 23rd. And later I'll explain why June the 23rd is a very, very significant Pentecostal pattern. And it's just so interesting when I went and have a look over to Matthew 27 again. And the 3 days of partial darkness verse started on verse 45. And going down to verse 60, described about the 3 days of worldwide darkness, and it's just very very perfect because of the numbers 45 to 60. That reminded me of the winter cauldron again, which is from 45 minutes pointing here to 60 minutes pointing upwards, and this reflecting the winter cauldron again, and how it's very important to reference back to February the 20th, the rare snowstorm that happened in Israel this year. And over here, this is the calendar that is on Jewish month 7, which will be our September period until October. And the reason I'm showing you this, because later I'll explain further about the 7 years of tribulation. And I just want to say how truly there's just no more time left, because during the time of Tishrei, which would be Jewish month 7, around the September to October period, will start the year 1 in Jubilee cycle 121. And this is a super significant time frame, because this is showing that time is no more, and this is a very sensitive timing because this would be out of God's tolerance according to Genesis chapter 6 verse 3. And as I said before, here in Genesis 6 verse 3, and the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive for man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Because since like month 6 will be 121 Jubilee year, and that's out of this tolerance of God of 120 years, and therefore during September to October this year will be a very high watch time, because that is referring like that is a very possible time in relation to the wrath of God that will be poured out in this last generation. Later I'll explain more in details about the high watch time of September to October. I can tell you that it's impossible to narrow down the exact timing of the first call, because there are just so many dates that are referring to the Pentecostal period, and the range is very broad, like it's very wide, and it's just impossible to know which dates until it's upon us. And another very interesting thing here, in my previous video I talked about how the 33 degrees in relation to the Illuminati it's actually with like echoing to the death age of Jesus, which was 33 years old. And this is very interesting because 33 Celsius would be 91.4 Fahrenheit, as though this is related to Psalm 91. Psalm 91 is about the protection of the bride. The death of Jesus at age 33 could also represent the death of the bride, meaning the transformation of the bride. But there are also a lot of other meanings. So previously I've talked about 122 in relation to Psalm 18 and 2 Samuel 22. And this is another confirmation about Pentecostal transformation because of the relationship between 122 and 50 degrees Celsius. Also here, just before I talked about the number 44 represents judgment, and also that's in relation back to the eclipse of Norway and 3 days without power of Australia, of like parts of Australia. And still like this confirming the June the 6th pattern, the 666 in relation to the 6 days of darkness. Here, as I said before about the March, about February 20th, March 20th, April 20th pattern, all of them point to the number 20. At 20 degrees Fahrenheit, would be minus 6.66667 degrees Celsius, and this reflecting 666 again in relation to the 20 pattern of those 3 months. This is further confirming about Pentecostal judgment, because the number 666 back then on the 6th of June this year was on a Saturday, and how Savant 6, that was the Pentecostal time, is actually June the 6th as well. So therefore, this is representing Pentecostal judgment again.